in JavaScript, to create a promise, we need to use the promise constructor syntax. So we create promise equal to new promise. So this is a constructor function, and it will automatically receive. You need to pass a function here, and that function will automatically receive a resolve and reject. So if I print this in console, paste it again, you can see whenever we create a promise, it's in pending state. Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so whenever we create promise, it's in pending state. So there are 3 states with promises: pending, fulfilled, and rejected. And these resolve and reject are automatically passed whenever we create the promise. And these are functions. So both resolve and reject are functions. So if you are doing some asynchronous operation, like something which will take some time, whose result will come later, so that code you will add here. And if you have that result, then we call the resolve function. So when I say hello, so I can call this resolve. So you can see promise is now fulfilled with hello. So to simulate that asynchronous code, what we can do is we can add a set timeout function. So let's say after 3 seconds, I want to get that result. Let's say I want to return sum, const sum equal to a 10 plus 20. And I get that data. So after 3 seconds, I get this data. I will call resolve. And I will pass this sum. So whenever we call resolve, we get that data. So to get that data, you need to add promise dot then. So then is a method or callback handler, you can say, that will automatically get called when you have that data. So now this, whatever you are passing to resolve, you will get here. So you can use normal function also or arrow function also. I always prefer arrow function. So you can call it result. You can call it anything. And now if I print this result, you will see result here. So initially for 3 seconds, you will not see anything. And then you can see, you will get that 30. So this set timeout means we are after 3 seconds, we want to execute some code. So this promise we have created. And once we get that data, then we call resolve. So until we call resolve, this code will not execute. So you might have other code also. This is after dot then. So you will see this is after dot then immediately printed, and after 3 seconds you will get this. So when you are working with promises, you are not blocking anything. So your program will not stop. So what is the use of promises? Like you attach dot then handler like callback function. So this function will automatically gets called when you get that data, when you call resolve. So here suppose you are making API call. So once you get that data from the API call, you just call the resolve function and then pass whatever data you want to access. So that data will automatically come as a part of dot then. You need to remember to always call resolve or reject. So let's say I have condition. So let's say I am adding some character here, and if then I will reject, else I will resolve. So if sum is not a number, so this will not return a number. So if I print this, you can see this is not a number. So when I say is not a number, and I will pass this, you get true because this is not number, it contains string also. So now what will happen? We call the reject, and here we can say please provide only numbers. So now what will happen? You see this, and after 3 seconds you get uncaught error, uncaught exception, because there is some error. This reject is same as throwing new error. So when I say throw new error and I pass this exact same thing, so you will see this is printed initially and then you get this error, uncaught error, please provide only number. So this is exactly same as calling reject, but this reject means you something is not proper, something is not correct, something gone wrong. So that time you call reject. But here we are getting error uncaught because there is error, but you are not handling that error. Just like try catch, whenever you have adding some code in try, and if something goes wrong, you handle that in catch. So similarly for dot, then you can attach dot catch. This function will execute whenever there is you call reject. So whenever you call reject, this catch will be executed. And here you can say error occurred. So now you can see this is the promise. You attach dot then. So if something is successful, you will get dot then. Otherwise, you will get error occurred. So now after 3 seconds, you will get error occurred because that particular data you are adding is not a string, not a number. But if I remove this, you will get successful data. You can see 30 is coming. So this is how you can use resolve and reject. So when you have something successful, call resolve. If something is unsuccessful, call reject. And you don't have to pass anything for resolve or reject. Even if you don't pass anything, that's fine. But we usually need data or something asynchronous operation. You want to do something. So in that case, we pass that data. So if you don't pass anything, this will receive undefined. So after this, you will see undefined printer. You can see undefined. And you can pass only one thing to resolve. You cannot pass 2 times. So you can pass that there is no error, but you will not get that data. So if I result 1, try to print result 1. So you will first see this. You can see 30 is printed and then undefined. So even though I am passing some, result 1 does not contain anything, it's undefined. Because for resolve, you can pass only one parameter, one argument you can pass. So if you have something, multiple things you need to pass, you can pass an object. So I can pass some 1, some 2, some. So now resolve contains object. So this result will be object and you can print that object. We get 10. So for sum also, or resolve also and reject also, you can pass only one parameter. You cannot get second parameter. So this is not allowed. So means you can add that, but you will never get that value because the function is not accepting that. So here also you can pass object error. Please enter. Now this error is object. So if I type this A, after 3 seconds you will see error. You can see error occurred. This is object. Please provide only numbers. And if I try to print, try to pass another object, error 1, print it in object, you will see undefined. So you can see error 1 is undefined because the function itself does not accept second parameter. So even if you pass, you will not get anything. And you need to remember that. Let me bring this back. So when you have reject, you normally pass a string, and here also you pass one value, only one value you can pass. So both are now correct. So after this statement, you will get, after 3 seconds, you will get this error. So you need to remember that you have to call resolve or reject inside this promise. So what will happen? So right now, if you see, you get 30. But what will happen if I don't call resolve? What is happening? It gets 10 plus 30. So let me print this. So you will see this is getting executed. Inside else, inside if. So you can see this is executed. Then after 3 seconds, you will see sum 30 printed. So this is coming here, sum 30. Then it's going inside else. You can see it's inside else. But after that, you don't get this data. So if I print it here, data, and now let me resolve this. So after this, you will see that data and the actual value. You can see sum printed, data is printed. But if I don't call resolve, I will never go inside this function. So you can see it's going inside else. So it is inside else, but you never get this data here. You keep waiting, you never get data. So this callback function will never be called. So this callback function will only be called when you call resolve or reject. So when you don't call resolve or reject, you are in this function infinite loop. Just like infinite loop, you never call the dot then and dot catch. So you need to remember, always call either resolve or reject. So if I add again a, you will see error. So you will be able to see that error. You can see it's inside if, then error occurred. So this code is executed because here I am calling reject. But if I don't call reject, you will see inside if and there will not be any error occur. You can see you see inside if, but after that you don't get error. So using promises, you have to call reject or resolve, then only the promise will be fulfilled or rejected. So first thing is, when you create a promise, it's in pending state. So when you create this promise function, constructor function, it's in pending state. You just create that promise. When you call a resolve, that promise will get fulfilled and it will go into dot then handler if you have written it. And when you call reject, it will go into catch handler. So we normally don't write promise immediately, create promise immediately. So whenever you have some API call, so we write a code to return that API call. So let's say I have function sum, and here I am passing two values, a and b. Now I want to get sum of this. So in this case, we return this promise. So now instead of a plus b, so let's say c also. So now here a plus b plus c. So now this is a function, I will call this and it should return a promise to me. So instead of returning this on separate line, you can return directly here. It's a common pattern you will see. From function, you will directly return a new promise. So when you return a promise, it will either reject or resolve. So now this sum function, I can call it here by passing 10, 15, and let's say 5. So I am passing these three values A, B, C. These will be passed here, sum will be calculated. And as all of these are numbers, you will see inside else, you will see resolve, and you will see that data. So if I save this, you can see sum 30 inside else and data you get 30. So this is the common pattern you will see, like instead of directly calling new promise on page load, you will define a function. So if you want to execute some code or execute some API call, you write it in a function, and you whenever you want to execute API call, you just call that function. So let's say instead of this, I have now a printed. So now the c value is actually string, so it will resolve to not a number. So it will come inside this and you will see error occurred, please provide only number. So whenever you attach dot, then you have to remember attach dot catch. If you don't attach dot catch and something goes wrong in the promise, your program will stop, like you are not handling that error. So this reject is exactly same as throwing error. So you can see you are having uncaught error. So uncaught in promise, please provide only number. This is one dot, then you can have another dot. So you can have multiple dot, then one after another. So let's say, and the result of previous dot then will be automatically sent to second dot then. So when I say data 1, data 2, what you will see, you will not get anything because this is not a number. So it will always reject. And whenever you get rejection, your catch handler will be executed. You can see error occur. So during promise calculation, whenever there is a rejection, all the dot then will be skipped. They will not be executed. So whenever you call reject, that means there is error. So dot then will not execute. Dot catch will execute. So dot catch will always execute whenever there is you call reject. And this number 10, 15, these are not a number. So if I pass 4, then all these are number. So is not a number will be false. So it will go inside, else you are resolving this. Now this dot then will execute, and once that is executed, you will get another dot, then you have attached, and you have one catch. So catch, you don't need to attach multiple catch. So now what we'll see, you will see data 1, which is the result, sum of these numbers 10, 20, and 29. So that will be result. Now data 2, you will not get anything. It will be undefined because this dot then does not return anything. So you can see, you see 29 and data 2 is undefined. So every previous dot then result, whatever you return, will be automatically passed to second dot. So I can return this result again here. So I can return anything. So for now, I'm just returning the same result. So this result will automatically be passed to dot then, next dot then. And here you will see that same data again. So here you can see after 3 seconds, you can see data 129, data 220. Both are same. So you can have n number of dot then calls. These are in separate function. So here again I can return result. You will get data 3 again 29. You can see. So you can have multiple dot then. This is some const sum1. I will call 1, 3. I will use this result as the first parameter, and for second and third I will pass some value. Now here I will return sum1. Here I will calculate sum2. This will be result. Now this is the final data. Here it will be sum. So what I am doing, I am calling this, so it will return that result. So this is to simulate the asynchronous operation. I am using set timeout. So you will assume that there is some delay. You will not get immediate result. So usually you write here API call inside the promise. And when you get that API call result, you just call resolve. So now what we are doing, we are calling this, we are trying to add that. All are numbers, so you will get result in data 1. So that result again we are passing to sum. So sum first parameter will be that result, second will be 2, third will be 3. That sum you are passing again here. So you will get that whatever sum from this, you will get it here as a data 2. And that sum again we are calculating another sum, we are passing it. After 3 seconds you get data to 34. Again after 3 seconds you get 39, and that's it. There is nothing else. So because this is the last dot then. So what we are doing, whenever we call this sum, this function returns a promise. So you can see here it returns a promise or number. If I pass something which is not a number, then immediately you will see error occur. You can see error occur. Now this is for the first. So let's say for the first, you are passing correct value. If you have again 4, here it will be undefined because you are not returning. So you can return anything. So result +1. So you will get data 4 as data 3 value +1. So whenever you have multiple dot, then the previous dot then data will be automatically passed to next dot then. But if any of the in any of the promises, any of the dot, then if the promise fails or gets rejected, next dot then will be skipped and automatically this catch will be executed. So if I pass, instead of 2, I pass hello here as a second parameter, then inside this function you will get not a number. So if it's not a number, then you are rejecting that. If not number, you are rejecting. So you immediately you will get error. So here you will see first data 1, then you see this log of data 2, and then you immediately see error. You can see now it's direct error.